Good afternoon, guys. So today I'll be discussing the sample paper 3 math section. So this section has 3 questions, one caselet, one line chart, and one bar graph. So these are the 3 types of questions that you need to focus in general for your math section, or I should call it the quantitative section. So let's quickly come to the question, and then after we go through all the questions and the answers together, I'll give you the analysis of this particular sample. So the first question is a caselet. If you can see the caselet, I have it open here. Mr. Khatri bought Bahi Khata bookstore with an opening stock of X books. Before opening the shop for sale, he doubled the opening stock. In the first sale, he sold Y books. He bought more books such that the stock was now thrice the remainder and sold twice the number of he sold the first time. Then he bought more books such that the stock was now 4 times the remainder and sold double the number of last sale. He increased his stock to 5 times the remainder and again sold twice the number of the previous time, after which there were no books left to sell. So 2 things you take out of it. First, the number of sales that happened, which is 4, and the last statement that at the end of the 4th sale, there were no books left to sell. So in a case like what you do, you write all the data that will be required for you to solve all the 5 questions. So this particular question I feel is slightly lengthy for you to answer the first sub part of it. But once you get to the first sub part, the rest 4 sub parts become quite easy. So let's go to the solution of the first sub part. As you can see here, the opening stock is X, which is equal to 64 given in the first subpart. Now the first purchase is double the opening stock, then it'll be 2x. Okay, and the first sale is given in the question, which is equal to y. Therefore, what will be the remainder? The remainder will be opening stock minus the sale, which will give you the remainder. So here, the first stock is 2x, double the opening stock, minus y, which is equal to the sale, gives you the remainder, which is your equation number 1. We'll focus on equation number 1. Now, what happens? Stock after second purchase. So he triples the stock. As you can see, in the first sale, he sold Y books. He bought more books such that the stock was now thrice. So since the stock was now thrice, you can see the thrice of what? Thrice of the remainder. So the remainder is 2x minus y. So as you can focus on the second equation, stock after second purchase will be 3 into the remainder from the first purchase, which is equal to 6x minus 3y, the second equation. Now we come to the second sale. Second sale, how many books will he sell? He'll sell double of what he sold in the first time. The first time he sold y amount of books. So this time he'll sell, as you can see, 2y, twice the first sale. Now here again remainder will be what? The stock minus the sale. So the stock is what? As we can see in equation number 2, stock is 6x minus 3y, and what is the second sale? 2y. So this becomes equation 2 minus equation 3, which gives you equation 4, which is 6x minus 5y. The aim is to reach to the last equation, so we'll keep following. Now the stock after third purchase will be 4 times the stock of second purchase. So the 4 times the stock of second purchase is 4 into the remainder 6x minus 5y. 4 into 6x minus 5y, 4 times the remainder. I correct myself. So 4 into 6x minus 5y, which gives you the fifth equation, which will be 24x minus 20y. So this is the stock after third purchase. And the third sale will be what? Double the sale in the second purchase, which will be 2y into 2, which will be 4y. As you can see, double the previous sale. So now again remainder will be what? Equation 4 minus equation 5 minus equation 6, which gives you 24x minus 24y, which is the seventh equation. So this is the remainder after the third sale. Moving on to the stock after fourth purchase. So stock after fourth purchase will be what? As given in the question, 5 times the remainder of the third sale. So the third sale remainder was what? 24x minus 24y, the seventh equation. So 5 times that will become 120x minus 120y, which will give you the eighth equation, which is 120x minus 120y. And the fourth sale will be what? Double the third sale. What was the third sale? It was 4y. What will be the fourth sale? Will be 8y. 2 into 4y. So the remainder finally after the fourth sale will be what? Equation 8 minus equation 9, which will give you equation 10, which is what you want to reach, which will be equal to 120x minus 128y. And as I told you initially, the point that after the fourth sale, the amount of books that were left was 0. That means the remainder was 0. Therefore, closing stock, as you can see the 11th equation, 120x minus 120y will be equal to how much? 0. Therefore, the 12th equation, which is the most important equation, which will help you in the next two subparts as well, will be 120x is equal to 128y. So now coming back to the subpart. In the subpart, it was given if x is equal to 64, then what will y be equal to? So if x is equal to 64, you put the value of x. So y will be equal to 120 into 64 divided by 128, which will give you the value of first sale, which will be equal to 60. Got it? Moving on to the second question. Now, the second question tells us that what if the remainder is not 0, but it is equal to 12y. So as you can see from the rationale we derived in the first question, 120x minus 128y is equal to 0. Instead of 0, we replace it with 12y. So now that becomes what? As you can see, equation number 12, 120x is equal to now 140y. So x will be equal to what? 140y by 120. And what was the value of y we derived in the first equation? 60. So we put that value of y here. So as you can see, x is equal to 140 into 60 divided by 120. Therefore, the opening stock would have been 70. Exactly. Now, when you move to question number 3, it's asking for the minimum value of x, where the remainder will be 0 after the fourth sale. We saw that if x is equal to 60, the remainder, if y is equal to 60 and x is equal to 64, the remainder is 0 in the first question. It's asking for the minimum value that will satisfy this. So again, we go back to the equation, which is 120x is equal to 128y. And we have to find the minimum value of x and y. Here x is relevant, but x and y both, we have to find the minimum value. To find the minimum value of x and y, we need to find the LCM of 120 and 128, because LCM is the lowest common multiple that will satisfy here. So the LCM of, as you can see in the solution, LCM of 120 and 128 is what? 1920. Therefore, the value of x according to the LCM will be 1920 divided by 120, which will give us the answer 16, hence the option D. Now, moving on to the fourth subpart. In the fourth subpart, we have 4 assumptions, and we have to find on the basis of the question given which of these 4 assumptions is correct. Now, in the question given, the sale remains the same as the first question, as the question itself, which it keeps on doubling itself. But the stock doesn't triple or goes 4 times or 5 times as given in the question itself. Here the stock remains x throughout. So as you can see in the solution, the total sale will be equal to what? Y, first sale, 2y, second sale, 4y, third sale, 8y, fourth sale. So total will be y plus 2y plus 4y plus 8y, which gives us 15y. That is the total sale. And now opening stock was already X. Always remember that. And now we made 4 more purchases after that, which will amount to X plus X plus X plus X, which will be 4X. So the total stock will be what? 5X. And what is the total sale? 15y. So what will be the remainder? Stock minus sale. Stock is what? 5x. Sale is what? 15y. So closing stock, as you can see, will be equal to 5x minus 15y, which will be equal to 0 because we are assuming the remainder to be 0. Hence, we get the option x is equal to 3y. So now what do we mean by x is equal to 3y? That means whatever the value of y will be, x's value will be 3 times more than that. That means your option A is right, which means x will always be more than y. Correct. So you get it in a case-like type of question. If you get the data right for the first question itself, that same data helps you to go on and solve each and every question. And as you can see, the calculations are pretty much very simple, and you can go ahead with that. Now, moving on to the second question. Oh, I'm sorry, we have the fifth subpart as well. Now here, the fifth subpart. Here the total sale again stays at 15y, as you can see. And it's given the selling price of 15y books is 60,000 rupees. Now these 60,000 rupees is what? The selling price of the total number of books that were sold. And in the same question, it's given that each book selling price was how much? It was 40 rupees. So from there we can get how many books that were sold, which will be equal to what? The total selling price divided by selling price of one book. As you can see, the number of books sold at rupees 40 will be equal to then 60,000 divided by 40, which will be equal to 1500. Therefore, 1500 books were sold in total. That means what? 15y. That is what the number of books sold, and we got the number of books sold from the selling price as well. So that means 15y is equal to 1500. That means y is equal to what? 100. And this question is referring to the fourth subpart. And in the fourth subpart, we got a conclusion of x is equal to 3y. So there we put the value, substitute the value of y, which is equal to 100, and we get the answer as x is equal to 3y, which will be equal to 3 into 100. Therefore, x will be 300, and your option will be D. Okay. Now, finally moving to the next question, which is a line graph. Now here in this line graph, I find this the easiest question in the sample paper. I think the first question was the toughest. This is the easiest. The question after this is between medium to easy level difficulty. So let's focus on this question. As you can see here, we have 4 lines. The 4 lines denote a world line, an advanced economics line, an emerging market and developing economics lines, and India. So we'll be focusing on this line. We'll be coming back and forth to this line, and we'll try to answer all the questions. Keep in mind that here your ability to see instead of calculate will give you an advantage. You can see and decide what is the minimum movement. So this requires a bit of visual sensitivity as to where exactly is the line moving and what is the difference. Okay, you can see that each part has been divided, as you can see, from 1.0 to 2.0. Each part has been divided into 5 parts. So each movement of that line in the vertical means 0.2 development. And sometimes these lines have stopped in between. That means a development of 0.1. Keep that in mind. Okay, moving on to the first question. So the first question asks you basically is which of the following lines has the minimum movement amongst all the lines in from the year 2017 to the year 2020. What is the minimum movement among the four lines? So if you look at the question here, from this bit only I can see that the first line, if you focus on the emerging, the topmost line, on the emerging market and the developing economies, the one with the squares, if you focus, moves from 4.3 to 4.8. Okay, and visually you can see this. Now the second line, which is the India line with the diamond shape, moves from 3.6 to back to 3.6. And then you can see the line which denotes world, which moves from 3.2. Oh, sorry, the Indian line moves from 3.6 to 4.1, and the line which denotes world moves from 3.2 to 3.6. And finally, the line of advanced economics moves from 1.7 to 1.8. And this movement I'm talking about is from 2017 to 2020. Keep in mind. So as you can see, the movement is the least among which of the following lines? As you can see, the world line moves from 2017 to 2020. There's a movement of 0.4. Advanced economics, there's a movement of 0.1, as I said. Emerging market, there's a movement of 4.8 to 4.3. That means a movement of 0.5. And in India, there's a movement from 3.6 to 4.1. That means the movement is of 0.5. As you can see, the least movement is of advanced economics. So your answer will be B, advanced economics line. Now, question number 2 is about, yes. So the second question is, which country group had no change in 2 consecutive years? Now we may move back to this. In 2 consecutive years, which of the countries or the line or the group had the least change? So the options are the world between 2019 to 2020. World line is of the circular dots. So from 2019 to 2020, the world moved 0.2. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. Then advanced economics line from 2018 to 2019 had a lot of movement. It moved from 2 to 1.5. So that's a 0.5. Emerging markets lines. The emerging market lines moved from 2018 to 2019. It had a movement of 0.1. And the India line from 2018 to 2019 had no movement at all. So it's asking had no change. You can clearly see the India line had no change. It had no movement from 2018 to 2019. So your answer will be D, because the rate of inflation stayed at 3.4. Moving on to the third question. In which year there was maximum difference between the world and the advanced economies line? And we can clearly see in 2017 the movement was of 1.7 and 3.2. So that's a movement of 1.5. Then there's a movement of in 2018 1.6, 3.6 minus 2.0. Then there's a movement of 3.4 minus 1.5, which is 1.9. And then there's a movement of 3.6 minus 1.8, which is 1.8. So hence in the year 2019 there was the maximum movement. So that will be your answer. This can be determined by just seeing the graph as well. If you look at the graph, we're talking about advanced economies, which is the lowest line, and then we are talking about the world, which is the line with the circular dots. So you can see in 2019, if you visually try and ascertain, the difference in 2019 looks the most. After that, the difference in 2020 comes close. So you'll be discussing between two. You can directly leave behind 2017 and 2018. just by looking at it. That's why I'm telling you this question is quite easy, because you can answer most of the questions just by looking at the graph itself. Okay, moving on to the fourth question. The fourth question is, in which year the inflation in the emerging market and developing economies a little over three times in advanced economies? A little over three times, important bit. So little over three times. So advanced economies in 2017 was 1.7. You can look at your advanced economies is 1.7 in 2017 multiplied by 3. So that comes at 5.1. And emerging market that year was 4.3. So clearly not the year. Then we go to 2018. Advanced economies here in 2018 was, as you can clearly see, it's at 2.0. So 2.0 into 3 comes at 6. And emerging market that year was 4.8. So clearly it's more than emerging market. So that's not the answer. We come to 2019. Here advanced economies touched 1.5. As you can see, it went down to 1.5, middle of 1.0 and 2.0. 1.5 into 3 gives us 4.5, and emerging market that same year was 4.7, as you can see. So that means 4.5 is lower than 4.7. Hence, you don't even have to go and look at option D, and your answer is 2019, which is your option C. Then we come back to the fifth subpart. The fifth subpart, in which year there was the greatest difference between inflation in India and the world. I'll give you an option to just look and tell me, because I think it's quite easy. The question is greatest difference in India and the world. So India is the diamond shaped dots, the line with the diamond shaped dots, the second line from the start, and the world line is the circular dot. So as you can see, there's a difference of 0.4, then this, and it's asking for the greatest difference. So the greatest difference won't be 2018. As you can see, the difference is quite low. 2019, they just meet each other. So the difference has to be between 2017 and 2020. 2017 is two brackets. That means one bit is 0.2. So that means the difference in 2017 is 0.4. Here it's little more than in 2020. It's little more than 0.4. It's 0.5. Hence your answer will be 2020, which is option D. Got it? I think it's quite simple. If you just look at the graph, you can answer all the questions. You don't even need to do the calculations. Okay, mentally. Now coming to the third question, which is a bar graph. This requires a bit of calculation, but it's mostly addition and percentages. So that's why I suggest everyone who attends the classes or everyone who is watching this video to solve a chapter called Simplification, which is available in both R.S. Agarwal and the other quantitative aptitude book and Thyra, for having a better understanding of how to go about calculations as fast as possible. Okay, now you can see this graph, lot of numbers, but still easy. And you can see murder, rape, robbery, narcotics, cheating. So the shades keep getting darker for each of them. So that means the lowest number, if we are looking at 2002 year, 40 means murder. Then with above that 33, we are looking at 2002. 33 means rape, 66 means robbery, 24 means narcotics, and cheating means 83. Got it? How to read the graph? Moving on to the solution. So the first question here is, what is the average number of all crimes rounded to the nearest thousand between 2004 and 2009? So you have, your area is 2004 to 2009. So how many years is that? That is 6 years. So in these 6 years, you have to add all the crimes of each and every year. So adding all the crimes meaning, for like just taking an example of 2004, you'll have to add 39 plus 32 plus 67 plus 24 plus 84, which will give you 246. So like that, you'll add for all years. So for 2004, the total is 246. Then 2005, the total is 240. Then 2006, the total is 244. Then 2007, the total is 243. Then 2008, the total is 246. And then 2009, the total is 252, which comes to a total of 1471. So that's the total amount of crimes committed in those 6 years. Average is what? Total number of crimes committed divided by total number of years. So total number of years is 6. So 1471 divided by 6, which comes to 245.167. So here the answer is given in whole number, which is 245, 246, 244, 240. So hence you don't even have to calculate in 3 decimal points. You just get 245, you take answer A, you move on to the next question. The next question is, in which year did the number of robberies have the highest percentage increase across 2 successive years? That means highest successive increase in percentage it is talking about. But I think it's quite simple because in 2 of the years, as you can see, B and D, you can come back to here and you can look at the robberies. And you can just look at in more or less 2 subparts, which is B and D, 2002 to 2003, there's a decrease. And then in D, 2006 to 2007, again there's a decrease. And we are talking about highest percentage increase. So those 2 options are anyway neglected, ignored. You can move on. So your answer has to be from A or D. In A, 2009 to 2010, there's an increase of 1 with respect to 60 because it's talking about percentage increase. And in 2003 to 2004, there's an increase of 2 with respect to 65. So the percentage increase in 1 will be 1 by 61 into 100, which will give you 1.6. And the percentage increase in option C will be 2 by 65 into 100, which will give you 3.07%. So quite simple. Your answer will be what? C. I think this was quite simple. You can just look at the graph and decide. You don't even need to go into the percentages. If you are a little bit adept with fractions. Okay, moving on to the third subpart. The third subpart, in 2007, approximately what percentage of all crimes were committed in the context of rape? Quite easy. How many cases of rape were there in 2007? Rape is the second, 30. 30 divided by what is the total number in 2007? As you can see, the total number will be 43 plus 30 plus 64 plus 24 plus 284, which will come to 241. Will be 30 divided by 241 into 100. You get a percentage of 12.34. You don't even need to go into the decimal points, as I said, because the options are in whole numbers. So as soon as you get 12, you mark C, you move ahead to the fourth subpart. The fourth subpart, of all the offenses in the chart, which had the highest cumulative total offenders across all years? I think this is the clearest of the answers. You can see the total of cheating is highest in all years. So you can just mark cheating, move on, see how quickly you get 1 mark. And the final option, the final subpart, is which of the following statement is true? The number of crimes of rape committed in 2003 is less than narcotic related offenses in 2006. So as you can see, in 2003, the number of rape cases are 34, and in 2006, number of narcotic cases is 26. So that statement is clearly not true because rape offenses are more than narcotic offenses. Now, second, the average number of cheating related offenses across all years is more than 85. Now, cheating across all years, again, you'll add all the cheating across all years, which will come to a total of 761. How many total years are there? 9. So total number of cheating offenses divided by total number of years. Average formula, normal average formula. So 761 divided by 9 gives you 84.55. You don't even need to go into the decimal because the question is asking it's more than 85 or not. So as soon as you get 84, it won't be more than 85. So that option is also not correct. So answer will be none of the options, D. So I think this question is also fairly easy. And overall, I would say the The first question would take around, so the first subpart takes a bit of time, but it'll take around 6 to 7 minutes. But the rest two questions will take, like the second question will take, I think, 3 minutes if you're very adept with solving line graphs. And you can just look and decide what the answer should be instead of calculating. As you can see in the solution, we have calculated so that you have a better understanding. If you can look and solve, it will not take more than 2 to 3 minutes. And the final question again will not take more than 3 to 4 minutes. So the total number of questions, 15. You should not take more than 15 minutes in the sample. And I think it's a 15-mark giveaway. As you can see, the normal average scores in this sample paper 3 has been more or less above 120 people have been getting, and a grade score would be above 120, 125. So these 15 brownie marks in terms of quantitative aptitude is something that you should go and get. And for that, I'll suggest you to first, as soon as the lockdown ends, go and buy a second-hand copy, not even a first-hand copy. Arun Sharma, Data Interpretation for CAT. That book will help you immensely in getting adept with data interpretation techniques. And apart from that, keep following CLATapult. Thank you.